Hello everyone! Alright, let me give you a very simple guide to surviving winter, because it's really actually not that difficult. Alright, in essence you probably know what's up. Winter is too cold to survive, and thus you need to stay around fire pits. You need to maintain a high temperature like this. Now one of the best ways to do this, especially when you're not standing right next to a fire pit, will be utilizing a thermal stone, as you can see here in my backpack. On that note, having it in your backpack is absolutely fine. There you go, I can run around for a little bit, and you can see that my temperature is only dropping rather gradually. This is honestly the major essence of surviving winter. So let's now cover how to actually make a thermal stone. So it's over here, you can find it within your winters tab. I believe you can also find it within survival, but hey look, you may as well find it in winter. So it takes rocks, flint, and a pickaxe. Now, what you do need to know is that actually it doesn't require necessarily a brand new pickaxe. A pro tip here would actually be to use your pickaxe all the way down to about 1% durability, i.e. when it's just about to break, and then to craft your thermal stone. This will still create a 100% durability thermal stone, and yet you will have gotten the most value out of, well, the pickaxe before converting it. So, how the thermal stone works will essentially be each time that it depletes down to its default, so room temperature, it will take durability, so damage. But, for example, if you only ever kept it next to the fire and it just always stayed warm, or if you kept it next to a reverse fire and it always stayed cool, that's right, you can also use the thermal stone in summer to stay cool, then it will never actually take damage or durability. The other thing is, you can drop it next to the fire for it to heat up, and then you can come and pick it up later. Obviously, if you're walking around without a thermal stone, you're going to see that your temperature will drop significantly faster. So let's talk about the next element to winter, which is going to be clothing. Basically another way that you can preserve body heat. So you can see that I am in fact wearing this outfit here, which, I mean, look, in my own opinion, it's a nice little addition, but genuinely the thermal stone is 80% of the work when it comes to surviving winter. Look, if you have these resources available, and if you're Weber, you're definitely going to have lots of silk available, then you may as well create it. Otherwise, these here, these are also alright, although it does capture rabbits, so you will have to go out and do that. Look, in my own opinion, all of the clothing items are nice additions. If you have the resources, you may as well create them. But actually hunting them down if you don't have the resources just to make them, in my own opinion, isn't necessarily worth it. The other thing is, obviously, you're going to need a lot of wood. You can see I only have 31 here, but we do have more within various chests. So you really do want to stockpile on this before you actually enter winter. And one of the reasons for this is because if you actually go and take a look at the particular kinds of trees, like these birch nuts, you can see that they have no leaves, and thus they will drop no seeds. These trees here, the evergreens, on the other hand, they still will. So by all means, you can still continue to farm them in winter, but know that you ideally just want to have a good winter reserve of logs. The other thing to actually bear in mind here is the fact that, for one, night is going to be significantly longer. Thus, you're going to need, obviously, more fire just simply for light, but also, of course, for temperature. And, of course, managing sanity is going to be more important in winter, as, obviously, the nights are longer. Obviously, a little bit of a flow-on effect here. So, obviously, if you want to go traveling around, my advice would be to have basically a bunch of these permanent campfires just all set up in a variety of areas. That way you can still commute between things and you won't be bleeding as much resources as if you were creating, the temporary campfires. That being said, if you're looking to collect ash, that could be the method of choice, but it's up to you. So let's talk about another threat that winter is going to pose. So for one, crops. Crops are going to grow significantly slower in winter. They do still grow, as you can see, but they will grow far more slowly. And thus, what you want to do is ensure that you still have adequate food. Now, honestly, the easiest way to do this is basically by setting up traps like this, collecting little spiders, and slaughtering them in front of your friends. Don't worry, that doesn't actually trigger your spider friends to attack you. As you can see, he is still very much passive. Also, your thermal stone does provide a little bit of light for you, so it's a nice little addition just to bear in mind. Obviously, only when it's hot. But yes, back to the issue of food. Honestly, the easiest way to do this is genuinely just by getting monster meat and throwing it in here along with 3 ice. That somehow, I'll show you right now actually, chuck a little cheeky monster meat in here and chuck yourself 3 ice in here. And as you can see, it's going to make meatballs. I don't know how to explain this. In my own opinion, since you're combining monster meat and ice, you should just get a soggy piece of monster meat, but instead you get meatballs. Easily just the best food. Super easy to make, and as you can see the stats here, 62 hunger, 5 sanity, and 3 towards health. It's got decent survivability, durability, as in it takes a while to expire, doesn't take too long to actually cook up, and the resources are absolutely piss easy to get, especially if you are the best character in the game, Weber. And so honestly, there you go. That's genuinely food sorted. So let's talk about the actual next issue. For one, hounds. Hounds will still happen, and this time there are actually going to be a special kind of hounds. But the special kind of hounds you're going to see are winter hounds, i.e. ice hounds. Whenever they actually attack you, they are going to end up doing some frost damage, i.e. reducing your temperature. And to be honest, the best way to handle that is really just by being next to a campfire and ensuring that when you do take ice damage, you can basically quickly warm back up. The other big threat that winter is going to pose, you know what I mean, is going to be Deerclops. Deerclops is the main winter boss. So what you want to do, as you can see here on my map, you actually want to go down to an area like this. This is going to be the easiest way to handle Deerclops. And so, as you can see here, I've got another little base set up, and of course, let's get this nice and hot. It's really wise to just set these up in a variety of different locations. That way, if you ever do have to go on the move, you can still stay nice and warm, and you don't have to panic getting anything set up. The other thing is, if you do make your campfire a little too hot, you can put your thermal stone next to it, you stand away so that you don't burn while this continues to increase in heat, and then you can come and pick it back up. Anywho, I'm going to continue my journey. So, this is the area right here. As you can see, this is a little tentacle spike, and this whole area is the tentacle spike area. It is covered in snow, but you can see it distinguished on the map by looking like this. Now, this area is fantastic because if you just run Deerclops around all of these little grooves just here, these tentacles will come out, they will attack Deerclops, and obviously they'll end up doing a bunch of damage to him. Each individual tentacle won't be able to take down Deerclops, but collectively, if you run over enough, you'll be able to defeat him very easily. In fact, you shouldn't need to take a single ounce of damage yourself at all. That's how easy this method is. Not to mention, as you can see, the current weapon that I'm holding, a tentacle spike. These literally come from a byproduct by using this method. Every tentacle spike that Deerclops actually does manage to take down, congratulations, will give you tentacle spikes. These are fantastic weapons. Not only do they have decent durability, they also do decent amounts of damage. And of course, when you are actually in a combat with him and you're running Deerclops around, the main thing is you do want to have a campfire pit somewhere to still keep yourself nice and warm. And like I said, you can always throw your thermal stone down next to it, and even be alternating thermal stones, keeping one next to the fire to keep it warm while you're running around handling Deerclops. That's a special technique to do, especially if you're soloing this. Obviously, if you have a friend, one of you can just sit by the campfire and you take turns while the other one's, running Deerclops around. On that note, this method actually also works fantastic for handling hounds as well. Even better if you have a bunch of these spider nests here. These are also great ways to handle things like Deerclops. They enter big fights and you can basically just stand to the side and just watch. Like I said, look, outsmart it, don't tackle these things straight on. Winter really isn't that difficult. And on that note, that is another reason why Weber is the best character. You also get these tentacle spots, which I will openly admit, I've forgotten what they do. But yeah, that right there is honestly about the essence of winter. It really just comes down to ensuring you have a thermal stone and knowing how to manage it well and having good reserves of wood and utilizing the tentacle spikes area, as you can see here. That is it. It's as simple as that. And like I said, use a little bit of monster meat and some ice for your food, and it's very, very simple.